Welcome to the SHT Podcast. This podcast is created by superhumans, for superhumans, and anyone else who wants to look, feel, and perform like a freaking badass. Your holistic health journey starts here. Rediscover how we...
Yeah!
Paul, sit your ass down.
How you feeling today?
I feel really good.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
good.
even know what's going on.
Really, you too?
Right. This might be piggybacking on the last one we put out with the mindfulness and meditation thing, but I just feel like I'm enjoying things a little deeper.
Very interesting, because I was sitting in my meditation this morning and kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I was like, I'm not sure what's different, but something is different.
Right.
And I wonder if it's like partly because of like the things that we've figured out as a
Right.
team. And I know that that's like, you know, extremely helpful no matter what, but it's just, that's interesting. Very
Right.
interesting.
Okay, cool. We're on the same page here, because
Yeah.
I even told Ryan that yesterday. I was like, I don't know why, but like relationships have seemed to be deeper. Work seems to be better. I don't know. It just seems to all come together.
We need to figure out what it is that, if that's what it is as like some protocols or something that we can have in place to keep it going, you know?
Right.
But I do think like the regular in-person visits is
Right.
really helpful.
Right.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So tables are turning a little bit today.
Yeah.
I want to bring questions to you.
All right, cool.
I want to
Yeah.
talk about a topic that has kind of been mainstream right now for some odd reason. It's been popping up. So I want to talk to you about bone stock or
Okay.
broth. We're going to
Okay.
do both.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what freaking is bone stock? Like, why is this all of a sudden popping up?
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it's not all of a sudden popping up.
Yeah.
It's been around for a really long time, and traditional cultures have been using it for, you know, as long as we've been able to document traditional cultures, and even today, all the non-modernized healthful populations consume it on a regular basis because they're trying to make the most use of the carcass and the animal, you know, when they make a kill. But it is basically simmering bones for an extended period of time.
Okay.
And along the lines of trying to get the most use out of something, you know, once you consume all the meat and you do all the stuff that you're going to do with the skin and the organs, then what you got left is bones, and usually those bones have some stuff on them. And so our ancestors figured out that if we can put those in water and boil it, then we can get some nutritional value out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and then whatever's left on the bone kind of dissolves into the liquid. And so when you consume the liquid, you get whatever dissolved that was on the bone, and then you also get some stuff from the bone that kind of leach into the liquid. And so you're consuming this liquid that has a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, can you dive a little deeper into like what's in it? What benefits come from the stuff that dissolves into the liquid?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing that we're going to get, the most beneficial thing, is going to be collagen. And it depends on the type of bones that you use as far as how much collagen you're going to have in that. But as a frame of reference, in our bodies, we're made up of about 30% collagen as far as the protein content, which is a huge, significant piece of it. You know, so theoretically, one of the things we want to get from it is the collagen, but then we're also getting other amino acids, things like glycine, glutamine, and then we already mentioned before some very bioavailable minerals and electrolytes that are really easy to digest and easy for the body to assimilate. You know.
So when those nutrients are digested, where specifically do they go in the body? Like you said, we are 30% collagen, but where specifically?
Okay. Well, I mean, the reason this is so important is because we are made up of so much more than just what we usually consume.
Right.
You know, like, so we're always talking about, I don't know, like nutrient density, and I don't know if we're always talking about it, but we've mentioned it before, eating an animal nose to tail. But it's like, if we're trying to eat in a way that makes us feel as amazing as possible, which part of that is just building the body in the right way, then we need to be consuming things that give the body what it needs to make everything in the body.
Right.
And most people consume a lot of muscle meat. They consume, and most people that aren't in our realm especially, consume tuna fish, chicken breast, lean meats, and things like that because they're kind of fat phobic. You know, so to counter that, we want to try to get the things that we would otherwise get from consuming an entire animal. Most people are not going to consume an entire animal, including myself. I mean, I don't have access to everything in an animal. I would eat most things in an animal, you know. But one way that we can kind of have a workaround with that is by consuming bone stock, because, well, your question was what? It was like, where does it go? Okay.
Right. If you were to tell somebody who had no idea why they would consume bone stock or like the collagen aspect of it, where does that go in our body?
Okay, so collagen is the primary protein complex in tendons, ligaments, and cartilage, and connective tissue, and skin, and hair. Yeah. And nails, and partially in bones. But really, connective tissue, tendons, cartilage, skin, hair, and nails. Yeah.
So very, very important aspects of your body.
Extremely important. Yeah. It's like one of the most healthful protein matrices that we can consume, and we just don't get it many other places because most people are only consuming muscle meat. So when I consume some bone stock and or collagen, then I'm always thinking about like trying to build this amazing body, but not my amazing body, but like people's amazing body, humans' amazing bodies in general, and especially from an athletic standpoint. We're breaking down and tearing down muscles and tendons and cartilage and connective tissue and wanting to rebuild that stronger. So that's one of the primary components of that stuff. But it's just really important because otherwise we're not getting anything that has collagen in it. Like nobody is.
Right.
So and it's what's great about bone stock is it's beyond collagen, because really we don't even know how much collagen is in the bone stock we're consuming. If I simmer some bones that are like really dense bone and that's it, and I like to think about like marrow bones, right? If I simmer marrow bones, especially if I've already taken the marrow out, that's just really hard bone, and I'm not getting much out of that. I am getting whatever is in the bone out of that. But if I simmer and make bone stock out of like joints and things that have like cartilage, and you can see the white stuff on it, like when we did the bone stock video, you can see some of those that have, it was knuckles cut up, you can see a lot of the tendons and the white stuff that's kind of soft but not completely bone. That's going to have a lot of collagen, but it depends on what bones you're using. So how much collagen is in bone stock is going to vary depending on the bones. But then you're also not just getting collagen in bones, you're getting like all these other amino acids and beneficial minerals that you wouldn't get from just taking a collagen supplement.
Oh, okay.
So it's like bone stock is a little bit more holistic, it's a little bit more encompassing, and the collagen component is one of the most beneficial components of it, but then collagen itself, is beneficial.
Right. So our SHT community, you would say, should definitely consume bone stock on a regular basis. Yeah,
so if we had to differentiate bone stock, well, didn't you ask me before too, what's the difference between
broth and stock? Exactly.
Right? Do you know what the difference is? Have you ever looked into it?
Kind of.
Okay,
Isn't broth it coagulates at the top or turns into the fat?
Nope.
No?
Close.
Or is it opposite? No, you tell me.
Nope.
I don't
know. And I don't think it really matters. I was thinking about this earlier. Like in our realm, when we say broth or stock, bone broth or bone stock, whatever, like we're all talking about the same thing for the most part. But if you're looking in the culinary world, chef community, broth is usually a very short simmer time, usually maybe 2-3 hours or something like that, and you're usually putting some meat and veggies and something for some flavor.
Oh, okay.
So the liquid that comes out of that's really flavorful. Stock is usually using some bones, but it's for a little bit longer of a cooking time. It's usually I think 6 hours or something. But as soon as you use the two terms together, like bone stock or bone broth, that implies like a 24 to 48 hour cooking cycle, which is intended to denature all the ligaments and cartilage and connective tissue and make what we're looking for, which is that really gelatinous, thick.
Does broth still include the bone as well?
Broth usually implies not using the bones. It's usually just meat for flavor.
Okay.
Right? So you think about like a broth, it's like something that you might do really for a short period of time, and then you can use that for a flavoring or something, maybe in a soup or a stew or something like that.
So talking about the cooking process, can you walk us through like a little mini version of how you would make bone stock? Okay,
so you want to start with some good quality bones. Ideally it's going to be bones that have some connective tissue. And the way that you know that is either they're called soup bones or they're called knuckle bones that are cut up, or you can go to a butcher and get like a femur and ask the butcher to cut up the ends of it,
Right.
Because with a femur you're going to get like the marrow bones in the middle, and then you're going to get the knuckles on the ends or the big balls and joints on the end. But ideally you're starting with some bones that have like what you can see as far as like cartilage and the white stuff. You know, you can see, you know what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because we've seen some bones, so it's like it looks like. I mean, hopefully you're not seeing some raw cartilage out of your body unless you had like a bad accident.
Pray to God you don't. But it looks like hardened fat.
Yeah, it does.
I know that sounds weird.
It almost looks kind of shiny.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So you want something that has all that. If you're going to buy some bones or get some bones to make stock, you might as well get some good quality stuff. You know, some things that are going to give you, because what you want is that liquid to absorb the dissolved that stuff. So anyway, you're going to start with some bones that have a lot of connective tissue and cartilage, and then you can use either a crock pot or a instant pot. And if you do a crock pot or a slow cooker, you're going to be putting that in the crock pot, covering it with water. I like to add a chopped up onion and a couple of chopped up carrots for flavor, maybe a little bit of apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar will help to, since it's very acidic, it will help to kind of break down the bones a little bit easier. And then you would simmer that in a crock pot for 24 hours. Okay. And then strain it, and the liquid that you have is really good quality stock.
Awesome.
Or bone stock. If you wanted to do that same thing and put it in an Instant Pot pressure cooker, then you would cook it for the max time in the pressure cooker, which is 240 minutes, and that gives you 4 hours of pressure cooking. All right, either one, it's just a shorter cooking time. I love the Instant Pot because it is shorter, it's more convenient. But both of them, you know, once you strain it, then the liquid that you have left over is stock, or bone stock, or bone broth. And then you can take those same exact bones and do a whole nother batch and do the exact same thing. Add another couple carrots, another onion chopped up, a little bit more apple cider vinegar, fill it and cover it with water, and then simmer it in the slow cooker for 24 hours or in the Instant Pot for 4 hours or 240 minutes.
Awesome.
And get a whole new batch. You know, if your first batch gelatinized, then your second batch will gelatinize probably even more. It's just really, it's crazy how much good stuff you can get out of
and
the same
that's the
bones.
Hardening at the top of the broth.
So now when you pour it, so when you strain it, what I like to do, technically it's bone stock or bone broth. It doesn't matter. Right? So, so on that note, again, broth is just a little flavored simmered meat, right? Stock is some bones in it, but still shorter cooking time. As soon as you throw in bone stock or bone broth, that implies 24 hours plus cooking, and bones. So anyway, so when you strain it, I like to strain it from the Instant Pot into these little quart containers, and then you refrigerate it. And when you refrigerate it, what comes to the top is going to be the fat layer. Okay? So the fat layer is going to come to the top, it's going to solidify, and then what's underneath that is going to be the stock. And the stock is usually, or the bone stock, is usually what's going to be really jiggly like Jell-O because it's got a lot of the collagen in it, right? That fat cap on top, I typically, well, first of all, you want to leave that on until you go to consume it. Because it protects it from oxidation. It's a seal, right? Because it's all kind of cooled together, and then that fat cap is on top, so there's no oxygen getting into the stock. So it stays really well in the fridge for a while. And then as soon as you go to consume it, you'll take that fat layer off. I like to throw it away because I think since it's been cooking so long, the fat's probably damaged. But I mean, that is how you create traditional lard and tallow. If you go down here to Echo and Rig or any butcher shop and purchase lard or tallow, they're pulling that off of a stock process, a bone stock process. So anyway, you pull that off, and then you can consume it however the heck you want to consume it.
How long do you keep it in the refrigerator before you consume it?
Well, you can consume it right away. But I like to let it chill in the fridge so that I can get that fat layer off.
Got it.
Because if I consume the stock straight out of the Instant Pot or crock pot, then it's so hot that all the fat and everything mixes together. And it's not that I have a problem with fat. I just feel like that fat's been cooking for so long that I'm not going to consume that fat. So I like it chill, and then you can consume it right away. If you're not going to consume it right away, you want to take those containers and put them in a freezer. And then take it out and thaw it when you get ready.
Got it.
Right? You don't do this on your own?
I need to put mine in the freezer.
Do you do this on your own?
No.
Okay, good. So you're really asking because you're curious.
Right. No, I'm actually curious.
Cool.
Okay, so we're talking about consuming it now. For our community, I think I get a lot of questions of how often, how much, how much bone stock should we be consuming? And how often?
All right. So I don't think there's a spectrum, okay? There's not consuming it at all.
Right.
Right? And then there's like what we would say is ideal, which would be maybe half a quart to a quart per day.
Okay.
Which sounds like a lot, I think, for most people. Right. My goal is to get a half a quart every day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like, what is that? What is a half a quart? 2 cups?
I mean, well, God,
a quart is 4 cups, right?
A quart is 4 cups.
Yeah. So 2 cups, right? So I try to consume that much in a day, all right? But it's just like, with anything else. It's like if you're starting from nothing.
Yeah.
And then, like, I wouldn't stress out about, oh my God, I have to get a quart in or a half a quart every day. How the heck am I going to do that? I would say just start consuming it on a regular basis.
Okay.
And just get used to either making it on your own or purchasing it somewhere and it being cost effective for you. Just move yourself on that progression from not doing it at all to doing it some. And then as time goes on, you start to try to optimize things. And what we'd recommend as ideal is about a half a quart per day. Yeah.
This is also a really awesome question that I got from Pam. Shout out Pam. Will it replace hydration? Like, can you consume bone stock and lessen your water? Or let's say you do a lot of bone stock that day and like just don't end up drinking a bunch of water. Is that an okay thing?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, like our daily hydration comes from a lot of different things.
Right.
So like if I'm eating a lot of salads and vegetables and some fruit, like that all has some liquid
Water
in it,
in it,
right?
right.
And even the meats and things we consume have water, and then we're drinking water. And then I would say things like coffee and tea tend to be a little bit more diuretic, meaning that you're going to excrete a little bit faster in alcohol than you would considering whatever liquid's in it. So, if we're thinking about hydration goals, initially when people first come into working with us, we recommend that they're coming off of soda and energy drinks and things, so we give them these daily hydration goals, right? But over the long term, I don't think many of us get too neurotic about how much water we consume in a day. It's really about drinking water to thirst. So to answer the question, sure, stock would contribute to that daily water intake, and it may make you less thirsty because you're drinking so much of it. But I think as a veteran person that's been working with us and eating real food, and you're not doing the Cokes and all that stuff, just drinking water to thirst is perfect. And stock could contribute to that, but I think it's just going to auto-regulate for the most part.
Cool. Okay. There's your answer.
Because then you would, I don't think we need to get as neurotic to say, okay, now I had 2 cups of stock today, so I'm going to drink 2 cups less of water. No, just drink stuff.
Yeah. Okay, awesome, cool. Yeah. Just curious for her.
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's actually a really good question.
Okay, so we talked about collagen earlier.
Okay.
A lot of us SHT real foodies kind of do a collagen powder on the side to benefit from that as well. Should we be doing both a bone stock and a collagen? Should we be combining them? What do you recommend?
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so, and I'm actually working on a post for us to share today on that. So the difference between broth stock, bone broth, collagen, peptides, and gelatin.
Okay.
Now, so when we talk about collagen is one of the main components, or should be one of the main components in bone stock or bone broth, depending on what kind of bones you use, right? But we've already said collagen makes up about 30% of the protein in our human body.
Right.
Because we are much more than just muscle meat. We are a lot of skin, we are a lot of joints and connective tissue and bones and ligaments and things like that. So if collagen is in bone stock, then that's one of the benefits of bone stock, but it's not the only benefit of bone stock.
Got it.
All right. When we consume bone stock, we're not just getting collagen, although theoretically we are. We're also getting those bioavailable minerals. We're getting electrolytes. We're getting glycine, glutamine, some other amino acids. And I kind of feel like when you consume bone stock, you're getting things that we probably don't fully understand, because it's just like when we eat real food. Yes, we can be reductionist about it and say we're getting these amino acids and these minerals and these vitamins, but then we're also just getting real food, and there's something magical about real food. So I think there's something magical about the totality of bone stock and bone broth that's separate from just any of the individual constituents of it, which is collagen, okay?
Right.
Now, that being said, I think there's benefits to consuming both. I think we need bone stock for the totality, for the holistic nose to tail kind of concept. And then collagen, because it's such a big part of our bodies, 30% of the protein in our bodies, then I think it would be beneficial to consume also collagen, because collagen makes up such a big part of what we are, And I have noticed personally, like since I've been super consistent with stock and collagen on a daily basis, I'm almost overdosing on collagen. I'm taking like four doses of it, or four big scoops of it, and a half a quart of stock. Like, man, I'm telling you, my recovery is ridiculous. I just don't get sore much anymore. Right. I don't have any of the joint pains, the muscle issues that I used to. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but it's just definitely noticeably different.
It's helped out. Okay, awesome.
Now, cool. on that point,
yes.
So then within collagen supplements, we have collagen peptides, hydrolyzed collagen peptides, which is what most people consume.
Okay.
All right, and then we have gelatin. Okay, so gelatin and collagen peptides both start from collagen.
Okay.
Collagen can be hydrolyzed, which goes through a hydrolysis process where basically those proteins are broken down into shorter chains, and it makes it super easy to digest, and it also makes it very easily mixed in water or liquids. Okay, so if I start with collagen, which is basically whether you make collagen peptides or gelatin, you're starting with usually animal skin. That's where they get it from, right? And then from that, if I want to make peptides, I hydrolyze it, and that makes it super easy to mix, super easy to digest, but it's different from gelatin. When I get gelatin from collagen, it is not hydrolyzed, and that's what has to be put into hot liquids. That's what we get Jell-O from. So remember when we used to make Jell-O and you'd have to stir it in really hot water, and then it would dissolve, and then when it cools, it would turn into that jiggly stuff, right? Well, that's what happens with collagen gelatin. Like you can get collagen gelatin from Great Lakes and some of these other brands, and you can't mix it in cold water, but you can mix it in warm water, and when it cools, it will turn Jell-O. So from collagen, we can get collagen peptides, and we can also get gelatin. They're both different forms of collagen. And we believe, and when I say we, me and some of the holistic hotshots that I follow, believe that there's different benefits to both, right? So if the collagen peptides get digested way quicker and easier, and they mix easy in other things, first of all, it's going to be easier for the normal consumer to consume because it's just so versatile. But then also, it's very quickly digested. The gelatin tends to be a little bit slower digested because it is this more complete matrix and these longer chains. So we believe that has a little bit more of a digestive benefit, and a more of a benefit for healing and sealing of the gut. So and it's a little bit closer to what we might be consuming bone stock or bone broth.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to answer that question, again, like how much should we be consuming and should we do in both? I'd say, ideally you want to move up to about a half a quart of bone stock per day. And I would also say a scoop of collagen peptides, maybe 2 a day. And then if you really want to get neurotic about it and versatile, which is what I'm doing, I do a half a quart with a scoop of peptides and a scoop of gelatin, mix it in my hot stock, shake it up with a little shaker ball in my canteen, and then I consume that a couple times a day.
All right. Can you find a peptide powder that's also just a normal collagen and a gelatin? Is there one that's made all together, or are they both?
Well, they have a million different types of stuff out there now, like bone broth powders and stuff like that. So if you mix them together, it kind of defeats the purpose of having them anyway, right? So it's either the gelatin is the peptides, but it's just that the peptides are the gelatin that's been hydrolyzed. So it's almost like you can think of, you start with collagen, the skin, and then you produce gelatin, and then you can refine that just a little bit to make these really easy to digest peptides.
Interesting.
But they're all basically the same thing. It's just different
forms of it.
Yeah, broken down in a different way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
So talking about all the different types of powders that we have, the stocks that we have, let's just say there's somebody out there who maybe doesn't have the time or the means to make their own stock. What kind of brands would you refer them to, or where can you find the best quality stocks out there?
Cool, that's a good question. So we do have a post that is store-bought bone stock options where we go through this. And we made some phone calls to a lot of these popular brands that you see out there. And I'm not going to list all of them because there's a bunch of really good quality ones, but my favorite is going to be Bonafide.
Bonafide, okay.
Bonafide, all right. And they have several different kinds. They have chicken, beef. They have a Frontier, which is a mix of different ones, but that's a really good quality brand. And one of my friends actually started the company for my NTP course.
Oh, really?
And I'm pretty sure I taught her how to make bone stock. And now she sold it for millions of dollars to someone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Shout out to Bonafide, and this is oh man, what's her name? I'm so sorry, I can see her face. She's pregnant right now.
Aww.
Oh my God. She's going to kill me if she listens to this. Her husband's a state trooper or a cop or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, so Bonafide is great.
Where is her product sold?
Most health food stores in the frozen section.
Awesome.
Right? So it's legit. When you thaw it out, it's gelatinized.
Cool.
It's really great, right?
Cool.
Another really good one is Kettle and Fire. They have a really cool packaging method where it's shelf stable, so it doesn't have to be refrigerated.
Yep.
So it's relatively expensive, but it's still. I think we have a link on our site for a certain discount or something like that if you click through that link. So Bonafide, Kettle and Fire, and then Pacifica. I called them and asked them how they make their stock, bone stock, and they make it legit. But you can just tell when you consume it, it doesn't taste the same as those two really good quality ones. But if you're looking to make things cost effective, I would say Pacifica. I would have no problem consuming it myself.
Awesome.
Pacifica is a really good brand. You can find that at Costco. Most grocery stores are going to have it, and all the natural health food stores have it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add anything? One final thing. Those are the questions I had for you.
I don't think so. I think we covered just about everything. I think you had asked me the other day about. What are the digestive benefits that come from it? I think if we're talking about...
how does that help your gut?
Well, if we're talking... I think the main benefit, in my opinion, is, we talked about like how the gelatin component of it, if you're consuming either the bone stock, bone broth, or gelatin, it has this ability to kind of help heal and seal the small intestine tight junctions. And then also it pulls... just by nature of the way that it works, it pulls juices and things into it. So it's really good for consuming on fast. It's like when you consume during a fast, or if you're doing like minimal food intake, like not a lot of hard to digest stuff, and you're not eating a ton, then it's something really good to incorporate. So like the gut and psychology syndrome, which is known as the GAPS protocol, very famous for using a lot of bone stock and collagen and stuff because it's so healing and sealing for the gut, but mainly because it helps to pull digestive juices, it seals the tight junctions, and then we mentioned before it has this amino acid in it called glutamine. And glutamine is one of those amino acids that easily crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it can be used directly by cells for energy. So if I'm consuming bone stock and bone broth, especially in a fast, then I'm giving the body some glutamine and the digestive system some glutamine that it can use for energy without having to get energy from other places.
Oh wow!
So, what else? I'd say, maybe something else. Something to point out, like when would you consume it? I don't think it disrupts a fast.
Okay.
But for most of us that are eating 1 or 2 times a day, I would say that you want to maximize the space that you have nothing, so to maximize the benefits of a fast. In my fast, which my fasts are usually the first part of the day, either eat a little bit mid-afternoon, or I just eat one meal in the evening. I might have a little bit of stock or my serving of stock like midday or something like that. But I do want some space where there's minimal caloric input. If you're doing an extended fast, which would be 48 hours or longer, definitely having a cup of stock in the morning and a cup of stock in the evening is going to be it's going to make you feel good. It's going to, there's going to be like an emotional component to that, so you feel like you're consuming something and it's not going to disrupt your fast. So those would be great times to consume it. As an athlete, like we always see athletes consuming products around training, before training, after training, mid-training. So if you're in our community, you understand that like we all train fasted. We like to go into a workout completely empty, right? I think that if you wanted to be holistic as an athlete, like post-workout, some stock would be really awesome.
Oh, wow.
Because it's got like some amino acids. There's some really good research that shows that if you consume collagen around activity, then the body can take that collagen and place it in the joints and things that have been used during that activity a lot easier.
I have to do that now.
So without getting neurotic about it, but I'm just thinking about like a lot of the competitions we've been to, and people are like, down in like Fit Aids and Kill Cliffs and all that stuff, which, maybe they're made with better ingredients or whatever, but I love when I see our people coming in there with a freaking thermos of bone stock or like
and a bag
kombucha,
of bacon.
and a bag of bacon and a bottle of kombucha, that's our post-workout stuff, So that might be a really good time to consume it. But other than that, man, just making sure that you get it in on a regular basis is going to be beneficial. And another thing about it is I would say that just like all supplements, you have to be consistent with it over time to notice some benefit.
Yes.
So I'll have people come to me all the time, what do you recommend for this? What's some supplements to take for this? All right. Well, and then I ask them how they're doing with it. Like, I took it a couple of days last week, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to notice anything from that. Like, if you're starting stock or collagen and you take it a couple of days, you forget about it for 2 weeks, and then you take, like, you're not going to notice anything from that, right? You have to be really consistent with it. So I'd say find a reasonable goal that you can implement, and if a half a quart is too crazy for you, just start with the powder. Start with the collagen peptides and or the gelatin. And probably for most people, the peptides is going to be the easiest to work with because it dissolves so easy in water. Just start with that. Be consistent with it every day, 1 or 2 scoops, and then over time start to sneak in some stock and get comfortable making it, and then over time start to do that more and more and more.
Awesome.
So I think that's about everything that we wanted to cover.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's really
Thanks,
good stuff.
Paul.
Yeah,
seriously, good information.
That's really good. Yeah, I think we wanted to cover this because we had a bone stock prep video, but we didn't talk about all these questions that people had, and we couldn't put that on the podcast. So yeah. And I like this new format. I like you quizzing me. That's really good.
Because as you speak, I just start to think, oh no, that's a good question. I'm curious. So we'll start doing this a little more often. So
cool.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, so remember, the purpose of this podcast is to support our SHT community and to be in your ear as a go-to resource for all things SHT.
If any of you have fallen off, if you need support, honestly, just come back and listen to some of these episodes. Get re-inspired, get re-motivated, and get re-engaged. If you're new to us, the best way to get started is by joining our newsletter at sht4life.com.
That's SHT4life.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at Superhuman Transformation, and then on Instagram, Superhuman Transformation, which you're doing an amazing job with.
Thank you.
And then also Twitter, it's SHT4life. I think that's all we got.
See ya.